Welcome to the MPG podcast, where your host John Graybeal talks racing, driving, training, and cars with Team Stradale driver Jordan Missig. And now, here's John and Jordan.
Well, let's just get started. We shouldn't waste any more time. We shouldn't waste any more time. Oh, now somebody's calling me. How's that even possible? Are you calling me again?
Not that I'm aware of, because I'm on the same call as you.
That's right. How's that possible? I think I'm live. Anyway, welcome to the MPG podcast. It is October 1st, Tuesday. Jordan Missig is in the MPG podcast studios at the Audubon Country Club. I am, as always, in another hotel. This one happens to be the DoubleTree at Dallas Love Field. How exciting. Huh. So I forgot a belt for my pants today. Here's a quick little amusing story. So I forgot a belt. I'm down here for 4 days. I forgot a belt for my pants. So I said, well, I could take an Uber. The hotel could drop me off at the Target. Or, to step back once, Amazon, I could get a belt the next day at my house in the small town that I live in central Illinois. But in Dallas, it was going to take 2 days to deliver it to the hotel, which I don't understand. Anyway, so I took a Lime scooter. I saw there's a Lime scooter across the street. Let's take a scooter up there. It'll be an adventure. 3.7 miles. There are no sidewalks between here and there in Dallas. I didn't know that. So I was off-roading the scooter. A portion I found a road, and the road just had a gutter right in the middle of it. I'd never seen anything like it. I had to brake the Lime scooter and jump off of it at 15 miles an hour. Then once I got to Target and tried to lock it up, it said I was out of the lock-up zone. So the scooter was out of battery by the time I got there, and I walked it the last half block. So I had to walk it back a half mile before I could give it up.
Aww.
That's my Lime scooter story. Not a very good racing story. We'll edit this out. It won't be in the podcast. It'll be just fine. So that was my story of going to get a belt, and then I took an Uber back to the hotel, and it was fine. But more importantly, we happened to see each other yesterday at the Midway Airport on your way back. You and your mom and dad's way back from Oakland, California. Is that where you guys flew out of, right?
Yes, Oakland, California.
Oakland to Midway on Southwest Airlines. You stopped there, and I happened to be getting on the exact same plane. But I was going to Dallas as you guys were arriving, and what a weekend. What a weekend.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
I mean, what a weekend. So you got out there Thursday.
Correct, yes.
Thursday, practice on Friday?
Well, we got out there on Wednesday. We did a little school on Thursday in these little in the little KTM cars. Got to know the lines of the track and everything. Those cars are a little fun to handle. Yeah, they're a lot less horsepower than the Radicals. They are, of course, but the tires are more treaded, so you're going to lose the handle of the car a little bit more in each corner. If you give it a little bit more power, you're going to lose the rear a bit. So, yeah, they were very fun to drive.
They're Wednesday night, and Thursday you got into these KTM cars. How many horsepower or what CCs are these KTM things?
These cars are only maybe 124, 25, something like that, horsepower. So they're not equipping with a lot of torque in the rear, but the cars are a little bit, I would say, on the, I wouldn't say heavy side, but they have what these treaded tires. So when you go through some of these corners, you're going to lose the rear end a little bit, and you're going to lose grip. Lateral grip is what we call.
Are they single-seaters?
No, they're double-seaters, so I could have a passenger with me if I wanted to.
I got to check these cars out. Sounds cool.
Yeah, they're little cars to have fun around and just drive around, beat up on, and lose the rear end a little bit. But they're pretty hard to start up and operate. There's this little system they have to go through, so it's pretty fun.
Interesting. So was there any surprises based on your simulator training? Were there any surprises once you got to the track?
Yes and no. Some surprises were based on the lines we were taking. Sometimes we were taking each corner a little bit wrong. One time we tried to take a corner to where we can match the gas and get back onto it when really you can't. That was actually the slower way around. To be I know. I was thinking to myself, how is this the slower way around when you're in the gas the whole time? Well, come to find out, when you're in the gas the whole time, you're giving the car more wheel. Therefore, you're slowing the car down. So if you were easing into the gas and keeping the wheel more straight, you're actually faster and picking up more speed. So that was an interesting fact that I learned when I got to the track on Thursday. So when we tried to implement that to the Radical, it actually worked.
Oh, well, that's awesome. Are these things called KTM cars, or what are they called?
I don't know exactly the proper name for them. You guys didn't do my research on them before I went there. I know they're a KTM. They're built by KTMs, so the same KTM that makes the dirt bikes and everything. So they are equipped with a turbo engine. I know that in the car, and you can kind of feel the turbo a little bit too when you're driving the cars too. So they're pretty fun.
Is it physically the same size as a Radical?
A little bit smaller same size as a regular car width-wise, but length-wise is a little bit smaller. They're a little bit more mini cars, I will say.
Interesting. Okay, so with that practice out of the way, we then roll into qualifying on Saturday.
We move into the actual race weekend. Yes, Saturday morning was qualifying, and we had a little bit of a fun at the beginning. I will say that. What I mean by that is we started off on, of course, everyone starts on new, fresh sticker tires. And then as we were gapping some of the field, Antoine was in front of me, I was in second, and my teammate Louis Schreiber was behind me. So I was trying to play mind games a little with Antoine, and he was trying to play mind games with me. He'd pull away and then slow up. He'd pull away and then slow up. So we're all like conveyor belting, like, as accordion effect, we're all speeding up, slowing up, speeding up, slowing up. Well, Louis was in traffic, and then he kind of made his way through, and then he was storming around the corners coming up to us. Well, I wanted to be in front of him, so that way, if anything, he could get my toe, and I could try to get Antoine's toe. Well, going into the last corner, Antoine decided to pull off to the side and slow up. I'm like, okay, well, this could actually work in our favor, because then I could pass Antoine, Louis could pass Antoine in time before turn 11, and then Antoine would be following Louis, and then hopefully Louis can slow him up a little bit and let me go. That worked until we got to turn 11. And then as soon as I got to turn 11, I downshifted a couple gears a little bit too quick, and the car spun on me. And we went backwards and just kissed the outside wall, enough to bend our little wing end plate a little bit like this. So we're flaring out a little bit on the wing. So if anything, you'd think it create drag. Well, it actually created a little bit of side force through the right-hand corners to make me get through rotate through the right-hand corners a little bit better, which were undoubtedly enough the high-speed corners. So you kind of needed that rotation. So it actually helped us.
Oh, my gosh.
Which I was like, perfect.
Wow.
So we went out, qualified, and got the pole by a tenth over Antoine. We ran a fastest lap of 132.9, while Antoine got a 133.0.
And so this Sonoma racetrack out there in California, how long is it? 3 miles, 3.7 miles? What was it?
2.5 miles.
2.5 miles. Okay. All right.
Yes, 2.5 miles with 11 turns.
And what was there there was other racing going on there at Sonoma, because we were watching on the not Race Monitor but Race
Hero is what
Race
it's called.
Hero. Yeah. We were watching on that. So there was a lot of racing going on out there, wasn't there?
There was. It's what the organization we were teaming up with was called Speed Ventures. So I guess it's a West Coast edition that's in kind of like the Californias and everything. They go to like Laguna Seca, Auto Club Speedway, and Sonoma.
Okay.
So I think it's all a California region kind of deal. People bring out their street cars. What there was a Super GT kind of race, which is kind of like they're like little Miatas with wings on the back of them, kind of like what one of the members here at the Autobahn has like a little wing on the back of a Miata. Then there was actually a Spec Miata series, which actually was modified a little bit to where the Miatas have like wings on the back, but they were not like the standard wings that you would see like with a Radical. They were more like a stock car wing.
Huh.
Or spoiler on the back, I should say. Not even a wing, it's a spoiler. So there was that. And then they had what they call the Spec Corvette series that was out there too.
Oh, really?
So they were like the old style Corvettes, and they had like a little Spec Corvette series that was out there. So that was cool to watch. They was watching those cars fly around this track and going into some of the high speed corners. It was fun to watch.
How many corners at Sonoma?
11 turns.
Okay. All right. So you qualify P1, we call that, position 1.
Yes.
And the first race was about 2 in the afternoon, is that right?
Yes, 2 in the afternoon on the same day as qualifying. And
so you're pretty excited about that position.
Very excited, of course.
Did you make any changes after you went out for practice or qualifying or come back?
Yes, we did make changes. We made changes based on the weather conditions, basically, because we knew the car setup was good, but the weather conditions and the way the wind and air temperature was kind of playing, and the way the heat of the day and the way the heat was playing on the track was affecting the tires in the car a little bit. We had to adjust our car to those kind of. We were making adjustments based on the weather to affect the handling of the car, the way the track temperature was, and everything else. Yes.
Yeah. So did you of those changes? Did you make changes throughout the Sunday because there were 2 races on Sunday? Did you make any additional changes, or?
Yeah, we made changes to accumulate the weather as well as that. It was supposed to be what it was in California. It was colder in the mornings, really cold in the morning, somewhere around felt like low 60s in the morning, and then as the weather day went on, it got up to about low 70s. So it did heat up.
So it was nice
and
there.
And as the sun came out too and started beating down the track also got warmer too.
Wow. Okay. And so we go into the race. So how'd the race turn? How many laps was it, or how long was it?
Races are normally 40 minutes long. And race 1, we started in position 2 overall for P1 and 1500s. We had an SR8 who qualified on pole. And
so you're in a 1500 radical.
Yes.
And there's 1350 radicals. These are CCs, right?
Yes.
1500 cc's, 1350 cc's,
1340 cc's,
1340 cc's, and then an SR8,
which is 1340 times 2.
13. So it's a V. It's kind of like
it's a V8.
V8.
So okay. Yes.
Okay. So you're on the outside. You're starting in the first row, but on the outside.
Yes, correct.
And how many cars total?
26 cars total. We're here this weekend.
Holy cow.
Yeah, 26 cars total.
How many SR8s?
6 SR8s, I think, were registered. Or 6.
So you qualified in front of 7 of them?
In front of 5 of them.
5 of them.
Yeah. Qualified in front of 5 SR8s, and we started P2, overall P1 and 1500s. And the start was pretty interesting. I had to time it to a decent amount to where Antoine couldn't get in front of me. So the way the whole starting grid was SR8 on the pole, then it was me, and then it was 8 other 1500s, which, by the way, I forgot to mention. The 1500 class has gotten so competitive this year that between first and ninth was about a difference.
Holy cow.
First to ninth was a second difference.
Wow.
So that was just the way the speed was in the 1500s. So anyway, going off of that, so we had SR8 on the pole, me in second, and then 8 other 1500s behind me, and then 2 more SR8s. So on the I know, very conjunction of cars there. Anyway, so the SR8 started off ahead, and then I timed it perfectly to where he started going, and then I was able to cover up Antoine and Jesse Menzer, who was right behind me, and they were both still side by side, while I was basically like the pace car right in front of them, blocking both lanes, or whoever started to get the run, I jump in front of. So was able to manage that all the way till we got to turn 1, and then I think I was able to get Will Lynn, who was the pole sitter, after the first lap as well. Actually, no, second lap, because what happened was Jesse Menzer would catch up to me because Will Lynn was slowing me down because of an SR8. He's much heavier, so in some of the high-speed corners, we would go full throttle. He would have to lay off due to the speed difference. So I would get up to him. I'd have to lay off because he was laying off. Jesse Menzer would then go to the inside of both me and Will Lynn going into turn 11 and would pass both of us. But he opened the hole to where I could follow him, and then we both just battle it out amongst each other. And then I pulled a nice crossover move on him going up into turn 3 and then past Will Lynn going in the 4.
Wow. And do you have rearview mirrors on this car? Do you see what's going on kind of behind you?
Yeah, we have the 2 mirrors on the side, behind the front tires. They have the little mirrors that are right up top, right on the wheel wells. Wow. You can see that comes with the front end of the car.
So you catch this, so you're in front of everybody.
Yes, now I'm in front of everybody, and I am starting to pull away because Will Lynn we're coming to a technical section of the track where the 1500s would be able to excel, and the SR8s were not able to getting a good enough run to keep up with us. So I was just kind of pulling away from everybody.
And so how's the rest of the race? So you're in the lead the whole entire time?
I was in the lead the entire time, just had to manage some lap traffic here and there, and I believe about a little bit through the race, yellow flag came out and a safety car came out, so we had to go under yellow for a full coast yellow, and the SRO was still behind me, so I'm thinking, all right, he's going to be able to get me on the start. Well, not if I time the restart right. Well, all I would do is weave back and forth, act like I was warming my tires up, and then as we came into the hairpin of turn 11, right as we got to the crest point at the midpoint of the turn, I'd go high and then hit the brakes to check everybody up, and then I angle my car to the inside to get a good runoff, and I just hit the gas and went. And the SRA was not able to turn good because it's a much heavier car, and even with the straight line speed, he wasn't able to beat me to turn 1, so I was clear sailing from there.
Wow. What a move. And so you held that off for the rest of and came across
for the rest of the race and came across P1 in the race.
Wow. Yeah. We saw that. We were super excited. My son and I were watching that, and when we saw you won, we were jumping for joy. Then after the quick celebration Saturday, we go into Sunday for 2 races, right?
Correct. 2 races on Sunday, one early morning, one in the afternoon.
And how does the starting position work?
So each person is positioned based on fastest lap. So whatever your fastest lap in the first race is how you start off the order for the second race. Okay. So we had the fastest lap in the first race, so we were actually P1 out of everybody. Then next was Will Lynn in the SR8, P2. Antoine was P3. Then we had a guy named Judd Miller who started P4, who's also in an SR8. So we had 2 1500s on the inside and 2 SR8s on the outside to start off the race.
Interesting. Wow.
Yes. So with me being the pole sitter, I had control of the start of when we can go. So me knowing that there was 2 SR8s on the side, I decided to give ourselves a little bit of an early green. So once we came into the flagman sights, I kind of just started to go a little bit, and then I just went. And that allowed just Will Lynn to pass. Judd Miller was about to pass, but then I kind of closed the door off to him, and he had to wait behind me. Will Lynn then locked at the tires going into turn 1. I was able to get to his inside. His horsepower was able to pull away from me again. And then because we were going into turn 3, that's a quick left-right-hander. His car was too heavy, so he had to go a little bit slower, and I just timed the pass right to where I could get to his inside going into turn 4, which is a right-hander, and was able to gain the lead back again.
Wow, for another 40 minutes. Did you hold this?
Close to it, because we had another safety car again. And this one was on lap 1 because it was cold. A lot of people were on new tires, and one of the guys on the start spun the tires and went into the inside pit wall and ended up breaking the wing of his car and part of the left side as well because his car was hugged up against the wall.
Okay, so are you on a new set of tires each race?
No, you're not on a new set of tires. You're only given, there's a little bit of strategy that goes into it because you're given 2 sets of tires for the race. One set you can use for qualifying, and then you can use again in the race, or you could use it for 2 races, however many you want, but you're given 2 sets of tires for each race for the 3 races throughout the weekend.
Okay, all right. So there is some strategy. And are you is there a set strategy that you guys had before you got there, or are you thinking about your strategy? Are you working with your coaches there to figure out how you're going to pull this off?
Working with the coaches based on weather, based on like the temperatures and everything, based on all the elements that the day is throwing at us, the track conditions, track position, and everything. So we're basing our strategy based on like we would any adjustments with the car.
Okay. So that all goes well.
So restart happens again, and I basically did the exact same restart that I did the day before, timed it right, hit the brakes, and got going. Because there was another SR8 behind me, I was able to beat the SR8 again to the first turn. The SR8 beat me this time to the first turn, and I had to hold behind him a little bit. I then got a good enough run to get around him, and then his tires got him into play, and then he got around me again. But he wasn't pulling away too far of a gap. So as he was doing this, he was modulating the gap to me to where I would be able to catch him, have to slow up a little bit, and then I'd reel him back in. In the meantime, Antoine is behind me. He was on new sticker tires. And at this moment, his tires are all warmed up and everything, so he's starting to run me back down. So I'm like, all right, we got to get around this SR8. Either that or he's got to go. He's got to get in front of me and pull away from me. So he would pull away a little bit. I would manage the gap. Antoine would still come in. And then right as the last lap happened, they didn't even throw a white flag for us. So the reason why they didn't throw a white flag is because there was a crash that happened. And
so the last lap's under a yellow.
So they actually did not throw the yellow. So what they did was, because the crash was such a major crash, they didn't even display the white flag, and they just went straight to checkered. So, and because the race was coming to an end. So we didn't even know it was the last lap. But coming into the final corner, Judd, who was in the SR8, who was ahead of me, ended up botching up the last corner a little bit, and I was able to get to his inside, cross him over, and just clear him right in front. And then next thing you know, he used his V8 horsepower to pass me again right on the main straight to win the outright race.
Wow. Okay. So he crosses the line, but you're in the first position for the 1500s.
Correct. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So I almost could have had 2 outright wins right there.
Oh my gosh. And you don't even know. I mean, because you're timing. You need to know the last lap. You need to know time, how you're going to pass stuff.
Yeah,
and draft.
I didn't even know. They didn't even display a white flag. All they did was just display a checkered flag because of the wreck. Someone actually flipped in the wreck. So they had a radical actually flip in the wreck.
And you're not on headsets, right? You don't have a spotter or anything? You don't have any...
We do have a spotter, but they didn't say anything until we were coming to turn 11 to throw the checkered flag. So we had no idea until we were coming up to the start-finish line. Then they just said checkered flag. I'm like, wait, that's it?
Wow.
So that was my reaction.
Wow. So when you're driving, and so how many laps is a 40-minute race? How many laps is that roughly?
Well, it also depends on the track. I know we were at Portland for the last race. It was roughly around 30 laps. I think this track at Sonoma, it was roughly around 27, 28, I believe.
Are you asking your spotter how many laps is down? How many laps have I have left?
No, because on our dashes in our cars, there's a lap counter that tells us how many laps have been completed or we've done on track. So we're kind of just going off of that. We have an idea based on how many laps are down, but we have no idea how many minutes or laps are left. So when our crew chiefs will tell us when we come back to the line, they'll say 5 minutes or 4 minutes left. We kind of think, all right, there's going to be maybe 4 to 3 laps to go because each lap is roughly a minute and a half long. So we're gauging between 3 to 2 laps to go from there.
Okay. No pit stops or anything?
No, unless it's the last race. The last race with race 3, we have a minute and 59 to 2 minute pit stop.
Okay, so 2 wins down. Sunday morning,
1 to go.
We move into the Sunday afternoon. And how does that? So where did you start in the last race?
The last race, I started P3 overall, P2 in the 1500s.
Okay.
So it was a SR8 up front. Antoine was second. Antoine was actually the pole sitter. And then it was an SR8. And then it was me. And then it was Indy Al Miller to my right-hand side, another 1500. So I basically judged what Antoine was going on. Once Antoine started to fire off, I fired off. And I was right up next to his rear end, right next to the wing, when we fired off. And how this started was Judd Miller would get the jump because of the SR8 engine. So he'd be the first car ahead. Antoine would go second, and I was following right behind him in third. Well, Antoine was so desperately looking to get around Judd Miller so he could get away from me that Judd kind of went towards the middle. Antoine looked to the inside, and he left the door open the outside. So I said, screw it, I'm just going to go to the outside of you. So I tried to roll the outside a little bit, was able to get kind of to his door, or to his side, to the side pod, and Judd slowed Antoine just enough to where I was able to pull alongside him going into 3. Antoine tried to slow my momentum down by turning a little bit left into me, and then she hit me. We just kind of doored each other going into turn 3, and then I just said, no, this is my race, and I just went for it and just kind of threw it into the corner, and it was able to get in front of Antoine, and then I was able to get in front of Judd the next corner.
So within 2 corners, you went from third to first.
3 corners, yes.
3 corners, within 3 corners. Wow. And how's the rest of the 40 minutes go? You're just keeping to stay in the lead, and then
the rest of the 40 minutes. This was actually the only caution-free race that we had. So me and Antoine were out in front. We were able to pull away from Judd a little bit. Judd was having a hard time getting going, so it was just a battle of the 1500s basically. And Antoine was able to stay in my mirrors. I was able to kind of maintain the gap between me and Antoine, pull away just the slightest of bits. We did catch some live traffic here and there in the race. We were able to manage our way through. They were giving room and giving us out of the way. I was planning on pitting this lap, one of the laps, and then next thing you know, as I was coming to pit road, I had a lap car in front of me, and he decided to pit. So I had to pull out of the pit road, the entrance road, and then stay on track for another lap so I didn't have to lose much time because he was hitting the brakes and slowing down for pit road a lot earlier than I would have. So had to stay out for another lap. Me and Antoine both then came into the pits, and we started our 90-second stationary stop, minute 59 seconds. I played it safe and went for 2 minutes because if you go maybe a second short of the minute 59 second stop, you have to take a drive-through.
So, and you're not doing anything. You're not gassing. You're not changing tires or anything. You're just stopping.
We can do adjustments. We can do tire pressure adjustments, any wing adjustments if we want to, but we're not going to fill up for gas or anything like that.
Okay.
So we did our stop. We left at the right time that we had planned. Antoine was released right in front of us, and as soon as we got to the line, Antoine stalled.
So so you come out of the pits, he stalled, and you just pull away from him? Was he in front or were you in front?
I just went. Yeah, I was in front. He just stalled. I went, and I was. The gap was when we got on the cleared track and we started logging laps again was 6 seconds, wow. And he was right behind me the entire time. So wow. 6 seconds was the gap.
Holy cow!
And we just went on to win the race from there.
And you can take this pit stop anytime you want, any lap, first lap. Or...
So what they do is they give it a window. So they have it pit road opens 15 minutes into the race, and then it closes 25 minutes into the race.
What's the purpose of this? What's
the purpose was to kind of it was made for endurance a little bit, to where if two drivers were racing as a team, they would have time to switch over, and if people weren't racing as a team, it would be the normal amount of time to where everyone was kind of even based on time. But nobody does that now, so they just kind of throw it in just to throw a wrench into the race, I guess.
Yeah, because it is some strategy. Wow. Yeah. And so you go on to win the third time for the weekend. Did you win it this one? Were you first overall on this one also?
I was first overall on this one, yes.
So 2 first overalls, 3 first places in the Radical 1500s, and boy, what a race! And in the championship, this brings you to.
We were 102 points coming into Sonoma. By my calculations, they haven't posted any results yet, but I did my own math. I think if my math is correct, I am 66 points behind Antoine going into the final round of the season, which is 3 races left.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah. Fantastic. And you just got to feel good about the driving and the team and the practice and all the effort you put into this.
It makes it so much better when everything comes together that you put all your effort for. So definitely excited for COTA in our final round, and looking forward to trying to go after winning a championship this year.
And when is the next race? This is the last race coming up?
This will be the last race of the season out at Circuit of the Americas. It is in November, and I believe it's November 18th through the 20th.
18th through 20th, Circuit of America down in Austin.
Texas, correct.
Austin, Texas. The new, I guess we call it the Formula One track. I guess we might.
Yeah.
We might
call it the Formula One track. Yeah.
The Formula One track down there. Wow, fantastic. A lot of preparation going into that, I'm sure. Thanks for being on the show again and catching us up. It was great to have you last week and see all the preparation that goes into your race weekend. And just congratulations.
Thank you, as always. If you got anybody who wants to see like the little highlights that happened throughout the weekend, feel free to go to Jordan Missick Racing or Newman Walks Racing on the Facebook page, and you'll find everything there.
And so, yeah, so if you're watching this some other way, you can see all the episodes of the MPG podcast at Jordan Missick Racing on the YouTube channel.
Yes.
And if you don't catch it on Facebook, or if you want to go back and watch some more, you can always catch it there. And so, thanks for watching. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.